Okay, and welcome everyone back to Hoops Lounge. This is a little bit of a radio edition. Myself, Phil Boileau, okay, Sporting Phil. We have a special guest today from our neighbor to the west, from Toronto, Canada, home of the Raptors. We have Mr. Ryan. Ryan, you know what? You're going to do a better job introducing yourself than I will. Why don't you go ahead?
Like you said, Ryan Henry here from the Below the Hardwood team over in Toronto, Canada, home of your Toronto Raptors, the Toronto Blue Jays, and the team that plays on ice that I just won't mention because this is not a hockey
With the
podcast.
number one pick, which probably won't change anything. All right, well, we'll get to your Toronto Raptors in the second half, but first, obviously, we're in the semifinals. The West is the best of the West, the best of the East. I mean, depending how you look at San Antonio Spurs, so we're going to stick in the West first. We have Golden State Warriors, OKC Thunder, tied 1-1 going to Game 3 in OKC. Game 1, we thought that OKC had them figured out, had the secret sauce. Russell Westbrook's defense on Steph Curry was pretty close to elite if you're going to try to stop that guy. And his offense was there. Dion Waiters was on point. But then we saw Game 2, Waiters and Westbrook. We even saw little F-bombs coming from Durant towards Waiters. What do you think was the biggest difference? And what's your feeling on this? I mean, I know it's tied 1-1, but if you had to move the needle to one side or another, where do you stand now?
To be honest, I'm a little shocked. I thought this was going to be a 2-0 series at this point for Golden State. I gave OKC little chance to one, win the series, and two, make it a series. The reason why is because you look at OKC, what they did to get here. They faced a Dallas team that was kind of beaten up. Gave them one game. They went through the second round kind of in my opinion easily because this whole suspicious the referees are not making this easy on themselves. And my theory was that OKC really wasn't proven. But when I saw Game 1, when I saw what Westbrook was able to do in that third quarter, what was it, 19 points? Mm-hmm. 19 points in the third quarter, just absolutely snapped. I was kind of speechless, and I was shocked that Golden State didn't come in with, we're the champs, we're the guys that you need to beat.
Well, they kind of did, right? But then if we're talking Game 1, then after halftime, Billy Donovan making some fantastic adjustments. And I think Westbrook and Durant would just look at each other and be like, we're not going to keep losing. Like, we've been doing this for, 7 years now? We're going to start winning. But to me, when I was watching, I agree with everything you just said. To me, the barometer of OKC, weirdly enough, because we're seeing – no small part, the ascension of Steven Adams into a legit NBA center. He's averaging a double-double, playing great defense, and even keeping, Golden State honest on the offensive end. He's a couple of hook shots. He's hitting his free throws. No one's expecting him to be a Dynamo or an Enes Kanter kind of guy. But I'd rather have Steven Adams on the floor than Enes Kanter any time of day. But that front court, I think, we're coming to expect, Ibaka will have his on and off game shooting. KD is KD, the monster that he is. He'll have some off nights, but it's more just quarters instead of nights. But to me, it's that backcourt that's going to win them or lose them the whole thing. Because how I see it, if you have Westbrook and Waiters playing on their games and their cooler heads are prevailing, I don't think anyone touches OKC. But when that's not the case, I think that's why they lose as many games as they do. Do you agree, disagree, or see it another way?
With OKC, the thing is, they came into the series, everyone was kind of doubting them with their fourth quarter abilities to maintain a lead. And to be honest, I saw it a lot where they would just take stupid 3-point shots. They would try to do what they really shouldn't be doing. They're better attacking the basket, feeding their big men like Kanter, feeding Adams, who's, again, he's just come big this playoffs. Like, nobody was expecting this offensive game from Adams, but he's been huge. If you saw Game 2, they tried to match up with Golden State's 3-point shooting, and I think that's what killed them. The first half, they were hanging tough with Golden State with the threes. Then they continued to do it in the second, and that's when Golden State just absolutely destroyed them. You live by the three, you die by the three. That's the one rule that doesn't apply to Golden State, as we've seen in the last 3 years. They live by the three, and they
They have
succeed.
so many guys who can hit the three, right? You can have Steph Curry miraculously being cold for one game, but then you've got, Clay and Barnes and all the rest who are just bombing. Like the chance of this whole team getting cold, I think they're too good for that. Like I think that's why they're immune to that rule.
Yeah, and OKC tried to adapt that. They tried to play that Golden State game, and I think that's what lost them game one. Lost them game two. Had they stuck with their original game plan of just feeding into their bigs, Kevin Durant was like phenomenal in the first in that first half. I think he had about 23 points alone. If they had just stuck to their game and they just not try to match up with the Golden State pace, the Golden State threes, I think this would have been an 0-2 series for Golden State heading into Oklahoma, which would have been chaotic. But, I think OKC is going to get back to what they should be doing. They're going to get back to attacking the basket. Westbrook's been phenomenal with the assists. He always takes criticism,
but he's got the turnovers and too many 3-point shots, right? But like when you were saying they were falling in love with three at the end of the games, right away I was just picturing Westbrook. There's no other player that I'm picturing. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be doing that right now, because if KD's taking those threes, or if a wide open Ibaka, you're like, I get that, but Russell Westbrook takes like 4.5 threes a game, and he shoots a pretty abysmal percentage. I think that's what I was trying to allude to. Like when they get in that trouble mode, sometimes they revert back to buddy ball, where it's just the two of them, and Westbrook, as good as he is, tries to take it on his own shoulders. But like the 3-point game, while he hits some big ones, and he has game and a game and a game, but I don't think it's this thing. I think I agree with you. I think they should be attacking the basket. When I look at Golden State, I would want to get their bigs in foul trouble. We've seen the difference when Draymond Green is on the floor when he's not. Huge difference, almost bigger than Steph Curry being on the floor. Now, he is an undersized power forward or center, which means that if you go by him with speed, he's going to have to foul you. And we've seen also he can be teased into foul trouble. He's quite often having 4 or 5 fouls. So why not say, listen, we have two guys who lead the league in free throws taken, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and we have Steven Adams, who's emerging game, and Enes Kanter. Our thing is going to be, and with Russell Westbrook, let's just pile up those fouls. And so at the end of every quarter, we're just shooting free throws, and they're a great free throw shooting team. Like I totally agree with you. I wouldn't even play the 3-point game. I would have it as something that, I'd stick Ibaka out there and let Durant stick out there as well, to kind of just for the open kickbacks. But if it's me, I'm telling Westbrook, you're not allowed shooting the ball. Like your play is either attacking the rim or kicking it out to someone who's either 3 feet in, being Enes Kanter or Steven Adams, or kicking it way back out to very accomplished shooters like Durant and Ibaka.
Yeah, and to hit on that, Westbrook has this incredibly dangerous pull-up midpoint jumper that I love. I hate seeing it, but then I love seeing it because I'm like, it's going in.
I feel bad for the other guy's ankles. Like, there's no way like those feel good when he falls in his butt after that one.
Oh my God, he should be sticking to that, handing the ball off to his bigs in the paint. And OKC would, like you said earlier, frustrate Draymond Green to the point where he's going to pick up that fourth, that fifth, and the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh technical, where he's going to sit out one game in this series, or he's going to sit out one game in the finals. And the funny thing is, Steve Kerr and the broadcasters have been making a point of it. They need to frustrate him immediately. They need to get.
He's one of those guys. I feel you can. He's a guy, because when you look at a guy, he brings energy, he brings passion. And so far, Golden State's benefiting from that, because he's like the heartbeat of that team, right? Like they have some strong muscles and good bones and everything of a body, but he's the heart. But the downside to anyone who's that passionate is they can get passionate for the wrong reasons. And then you can frustrate him. I think you can get under his skin more than you can a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson. So to me, that's the Achilles heel. But if you're Billy Donovan, how do you tell Russell Westbrook, a top 5 player in the league, to stop shooting because he wants to shoot?
Westbrook is the guy that is going to have to lead that frustrate Draymond charge, and he'll do it by attacking the basket. I'm saying you send all your guys straight to Draymond, get him
bam. And it's funny because Draymond's like what, 6'5", 6'6", maybe 6'7" with shoes, and Westbrook's like 6'3", 6'4". It's not even that big of a difference, like because you know that Steph is not staying in front of him, and Clay's attacking him most. Look, Clay's another guy who's been in foul trouble in the series, so just attacking them, like I know you're allowed. I know the general consensus when everyone is attacking, then it's showing your hand, and then everyone just kind of funnels in. But that's how you get more open 3-point shots, first of all, and that's how your team is built. Listen, you can't go make a million trades now. You have your roster, and your roster is predicated upon scoring inside and getting to the line. Like, think about it. Their top three scorers, Cantor, Durant, and Westbrook. As good a shooter as Durant is, he's a great slasher. He gets to the basket within 2 steps from the 3-point line and can rise up over anyone. Like, outside of Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't see many guys doing that in this league. And that's something.
Nope, he's a tall, lanky guy, and he has the ability to do exactly just that. And then I just don't understand why sometimes they fall in love with those long twos or the long threes. Even Ibaka's changed, and I'm kind of disappointed. If you remember him in the days of the James Harden OKC, Ibaka was straight out the biggest guy on the court, just blocking shots, protecting. He was a great rim protector.
Because they were playing him at center, though, remember? Because like they had some Kendrick Perkins in there, but the benefit of Kendrick Perkins, where you don't have with Adams, is that when he can't hit his free throw, so he wouldn't be there against some lineups because he was such a stiff. They would have to sit him against a lot of small lineups. Adams actually brings that versatility that he shuffles his feet better. He can adjust to poor rotations better. Like to me, Adams is a better player than Perkins by a fair bit. But the thing,
I'd say before the Boston days, yeah. Before I was a big fan of Perkins in Boston with KG. That was like the ultimate Perkins for me. But I just with what Ibaka's been able to do, I don't see him inside anymore. I just see him sitting literally on the
because you can't clog the paint with all those guys because they have to go inside. Like, this is a team, because he can shoot, they need him to shoot. Like, he's turned into kind of, Kevin Love on offense. For them, just sit in the corner, and I'm not even opposed to that because of all the skill you have. I think that's better served. Like, I'm not actually worried about Serge Ibaka's role. What I'm worried about is them getting him the ball. Like, when I notice them winning, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but we tend to see two things. One, Kevin Durant takes more total shots than Russell Westbrook. And two, if they get Serge Ibaka involved, maybe Dion Waiters instead, but usually Serge Ibaka involved, and he gets at least 10 points going. When those things happen, I feel they usually win. 'Cause I'm a big stats guy, and those are things I always look for. And when it's the other way around, when Ibaka's not involved and the shots taken is pretty neck and neck between those two, that's when buddy ball happens, and that's when the ball's not flowing around.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree. And you guys know for a fact that I am a big fan of the stretch four, clearly, but I don't know. I just feel that the game, his game may have brought them down because remember the whole reason why they took Ibaka and gave away Harden was they needed a defender, they needed that guy, and now it's like he's just some stationary guy who shoots threes. And to be honest, from what I've seen, he's hitting them.
Well, let's be fair. The whole reason that happened was Sam Hinkie's most genius move. No, not Sam Hinkie. Why am I blanking on the OKC's GM, Sam Presti? His greatest move ever in acquiring Steven Adams. Yes, he had to get rid of some prospects like James Harden, but he was able to bring in his monumental center. So, no, I'm totally kidding aside. Obviously, I think they just realized at that time that, such ball dominant guards like Westbrook and Durant, a guy like Harden would never coexist in that world. And when you're looking at a modern NBA guy like Ibaka who can play the 4-5, shoot the ball, hit his free throws, like, that's valuable. Like, you have so much flexibility. You can play him at the 4, play him at the 5. There's never a time you need to take him off the court because of some weakness. And he also knows his role, so he doesn't demand shots the way Cantor would be forcing shots,
Yeah.
But okay, so we talk a lot about OKC there. We're talking the other side of the ball. Golden State Warriors, obviously, they won Game 2. Going back to OKC, they're 1-1. It's a brand new series, but they still have home court advantage, so it's best of 5 at this point. Are you are you worried that maybe there's some chinks in their armor, or do you think they're just, in their usual groove and OKC kind of just, had some hot streaks?
I don't think Golden State has their full switch yet. I don't think we've seen the peak Warriors. I feel they have another gear to go into, and I think Steph proved that within 1 minute and 58 seconds in the third quarter when he dropped 17 points.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, like I'm sure Tracy McGrady was sitting there, and being like, I think people are going to be showing this instead of my Rockets highlights at this point.
Like Steph just has that. Okay, you know what? This is mine. This is over. I'm tired of this. And he had that in the third. And from that moment on, the game was done. The Warriors still have that ability to end the game before the fourth quarter, where we'll see Steph and Draymond just laughing on the bench. And that's exactly what they were doing in game two, because they had that switch. They flicked it. They realized, hey, we cannot afford to lose this game right now, going 0-2 into hostile territory in another arena in Chesapeake, which has crazy fans.
If they had gone down 0-2, I think they lose that series.
Oh, without a doubt, because you go into Oklahoma and their fans
you're losing at least one there.
Their fans are just as crazy in the Oracle. I don't think they would have survived, and I think he realized that. And when they all realized that as a team, they just took over. And I think this upcoming game three, what is it? They played. It's kind of crazy. They have a day off all the way till Saturday, but they play. They're just going to tear through OKC. I think they're actually going to blow them out in Oklahoma tonight, because I feel Golden State has reached that point. And the key to Golden State, I don't know if you saw this. I think Andre Iguodala has reached his MVP form in starting from game two. That layup. Oh my God!
Well, he's always been a bit underrated, right? Like, being on Team USA, playing versatile roles in Denver and Philly. I mean, he's been one of those guys that ever since the Raptors drafted Rafael Arujo instead of him, has always been. You remember that one? That's always been a bit tough a pill to swallow. But for me, I was talking before about those guys who need to get hot and do well on OKC to be the barometer. For me, the barometer, weirdly enough, is actually Maurice Spates for Golden State. I feel when he is on and he's coming off the bench and he's dropping his little 15 to 18 foot jumpers that no one seems to get out to, I feel that's when they're in their groove. He gets that big smile on, you get the starters from the bench, and that really gets the guards going, right? Because then you see Livingston understand the spacing, starts posting up smaller guys. I totally agree with you. I think Andre Iguodala is definitely their sixth man, and he brings so much ability. Like, he's an extra ball handler, right? And they don't necessarily have that outside of Draymond and Curry. Clay a bit, and yes, they have Livingston, but with that playoff experience and that strength, ability to play in multiple positions, I just think it's pretty up there. But
I'd agree. Spates, for the casual NBA fan, you're looking at him, you're like, what is this guy going to do? You see him pulling up from like 15 to 20 feet, and you're just like, wait, he can hit,
and especially because he's this big dude, right? You're expecting him to go bang in the post.
Yeah, no. I think
he's like the Jaheim of NBA. This big dude. You expect him to be like this big gangster rapper, and he's just like soft R&B voice, like that's him of basketball.
And I love it. I love seeing him shoot, because to this day I'm still looking at him like, don't shoot that, and then he's splashing it just like Steph and Clay, and I'm just like, wow. You're right. If he's hitting those shots, they're pretty much unstoppable, because they can go 10 deep, and 10 deep they're still hitting these unbelievable shots. But more with Iguodala, I saw something from him that game where it's just like, okay, this team is now, I think they're realizing, okay, we need to step into another gear. OKC is not a joke, and that's where Iguodala, he's earning his stripes. He's reminding people now why he won Finals MVP over Steph, and
he's a free agent next year. It's gonna be a lot of money.
And he's going to be a lot of money, but he's worth it.
He is worth it, but there's a whole lot of guys, Festus Ezeli, a whole lot of worth it guys. They're going to have to decide how worth it they are. Let's not even forget about Harrison Barnes, right? Who's another free agent. So they've got some big money And that's when, and don't forget, Steph needs a new contract too. I don't think he'll be very happy being paid $11 million for very long.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
We'll switch.
He's not gonna accept being underpaid from Clay and Draymond. So his payday is gonna come up, and you know what?
And David Lee.
Two
No, I'm kidding.
years, this team looks different, but I think they realize that, and I think that that's what's going to push them over OKC. I'm thinking this is going to end up to be like a 4-2 series, to be honest. At this point, I don't see Golden State losing much, and if they do lose maybe one more game, they're losing it by like the bare minimum.
All right. Well, I kind of think it's going to go seven. I think every time they lose, Russell Westbrook's like, oh yeah, I have to be a point guard. And I think Dion Waiters, the only way he takes the floor again is if he settled that beef with Durant, and I think that beef was predicated upon him just taking the game into his own self and not playing team ball. I think there's way too many guys on that team that do that, but I still think it'll be seven, and I'm still saying OKC just because I'm a believer. But we got to switch up topics now. We got to jump the other side of the NBA to the Eastern Conference. We're now also heading into Game 3 tonight in Toronto. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers, the powerful 2-0 win over the other team, aka the Toronto Raptors. The others. We.
The others.
I feel like that was. Do you think that was intentional? By was it MSNBC, CBS?
It was a CBS or something like that. I heard that this was actually during the last game of the original post was during the last game of the
Oh,
Raptors.
so I didn't know if it was Miami or. Okay.
Exactly. And then when Toronto, this is kind of where like I want to support my hometown and I want to support the city, but I feel like the mayor, our mayor, and everyone just kind of way overreacted to this thing where
I think they did that on purpose, though, because honestly, I'm not trying to sound harsh or anything, but when you're looking at this matchup, like, this doesn't seem like when I look at OKC Golden State, I see two pretty even teams. When I'm looking at Cleveland, Toronto, I have trouble seeing that. And so I'm thinking, between Dwayne Casey saying Chafee's the best big on the floor, I'm like, maybe, but you're still playing against Tristan and Kevin Love. They're trying to do all the self-motivation they can, and rightfully so, right? Like, you need your guys to be in the right mental state to deal with not only playing the best team in the Eastern Conference, but also playing without your big man who has been so influential in these playoffs. I mean, would you agree with me that before JV went down, he was their best playoff player?
oh, without a doubt. You look at the Indiana series, the first two games alone, when DeMar and Kyle were literally could not find like any productivity. Jonas was the dude that was carrying this team. And even into the later parts of that series, Jonas was still that guy before he went down. That was he was getting all the hustle points. He was getting all those extra rebounds. He was the dude that was.
And everyone thought that Whiteside was going to turn him into nothing, right?
I originally thought Whiteside was going to dominate that series, and then when I saw Jonas just eat him up in the paint, I was just, that kid's grown up. I was a big, I didn't like how a lot of people were saying we should trade him. A lot of people were saying we should be getting rid of Jonas coming into this series, coming into this season. They just weren't happy with his development, but it's like, I think he's actually exceeded expectations in his career, his short career so far, and this playoffs just kind of proved it. But going back into the Cleveland series, his appearance potentially in Game 3, I heard it's doubtful, but going into Game 4, I don't think he makes much of a difference. And to be honest, I just think LeBron is toying with us, and Cleveland hasn't even flicked the switch up yet.
I agree with everything you just said. I also think if he's not playing Game 3 and they lose Game 3, I don't think Casey or management plays him in Game 4. I don't think you risk your franchise, especially considering the volatility of the offseason, right? You're hearing DeMar, rumors to the Lakers. If that happens, do you keep Kyle around? It's kind of like it'll be a very interesting offseason, which we'll get into another show. But I don't know. So look, if we're trying to look at the glass half full, because obviously everything's going Cleveland's way right now. They're hitting shots from everywhere. It's a dunk contest from LeBron, Shumpert, JR, and the rest. Biombo's being badly outmatched by Tristan Thompson. Kevin Love has decided to remember how to play basketball again. And Kyrie is kind of like Steven Adams, has just taken that other step into maybe superstardom. What does Toronto have to do to take a W out of Game 3?
I was looking into this too. Obviously, you have three. I wouldn't call Kyrie and Love superstars at the moment because I feel superstars is overrated. But you still have for three extremely talented players, and the Raptors are just clearly overmatched. But what you got to do is you can't shut down LeBron James. There's no way to shut him down. Shutting down LeBron James is like that's still like a good 25-point night for him. That's considering shutting down LeBron for me. But you got to shut down the other two. You got to take K-Love out of the game. You got to take Kyrie out of the game. Let LeBron do what he did against Golden State last year, where he was just putting up insane numbers, but it wasn't resulting in wins. If you find a way to shut down the other guys, take away their game, let LeBron try to be the hero again, I think you have a chance at possibly getting a win in Toronto. I think you have a chance.
You don't sound overly hopeful when you say a win. Like, well, could get that one just to hang our hats on, but yeah, it's over, guys.
Yeah, because I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to focus on LeBron. It's still not working. He's still doing what he's able to do. And then you have Kyrie and Love just open.
Well, they tried to go one-on-one, right? Remember Game 1, they had Carroll on him the whole time, and they kind of said, you know what, he's going to beat us, but then he was just walking right past Carroll. I mean, when you look at LeBron and Carroll, like, look, I love Carroll, great guy. I understand he was supposed to be brought in as he's listed 6'8", 215. He looks shorter than that. I mean, when you watch him next to LeBron, there's a good 3-4 inches of height difference and a good 20, 30 pounds. So this is not exactly like if you put Biombo next to him, like that would be closer size-wise. And I still think LeBron has 10, 15 pounds of muscle on him. It's funny because people are saying, oh, LeBron slimmed down, he slimmed down. I'm like, yeah, he slimmed down. He's still one of the biggest dudes in the NBA. I mean, before he was just ridiculous. I mean, it's like saying, Orlando's version of Shaquille O'Neal was a slim dude. He was still 280 and athletic, right? There's still no one who matches up with this. So I don't know, because, you can shut down Love, but then, Channing Frye is trailing through. I mean, their ability to put 5 guys on the floor who can all bomb threes. I mean, we saw a stat before, J.R. Smith has only taken 2 or 3 field goals that are not 3-point shots. He's understanding his role. I'm in Shumpert. I mean, I thought he almost broke his leg on the other night on a dunk, but he's been playing spectacular. Even Richard Jefferson's playing. Dellavedova. I mean, I think what we're seeing right here, and if you're right with Golden State, how they're just getting heated up, we're getting I think we're looking at the finals that we should have had last year. 2 teams that are jazzed up, ready, and healthy. But what's funny is we had Cleveland stumbling into the finals last year, whereas Golden State, was a little bit more rested and obviously had their team healthy. But this year, let's just say they take the next 2 in Toronto. It's a sad way to go if you're Toronto. Like, I think you'd rather go to 5 so you don't have to lose that closing game. Although you can say thanks to your fans. But at the same point, that'll be the 3rd series in a row that Cleveland would have swept. Already rested. We saw how good they looked after being rested. Imagine them just sitting back after winning 4 straight and watching Golden State and OKC just battle it out, and just whoever stumbles out of that fight has to face a rested LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving.
That is something I am afraid to see. If you look at what LeBron was able to do by himself alone against the Golden State Warriors, and then you have arrested LeBron, arrested Kyrie, Kevin Love, no one's injured. Channing Frye that just entered the picture, who's playing pretty well too. You know what? I think the Cavs might finally end Cleveland's horrible championship drought.
And Tristan Thompson stepped up his game again to become one of the best rebounders, defenders in the NBA front court wise.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time in that case, because if I did not expect OKC to give them this much of a challenge, and I do think Cleveland has maybe a bit of a better team than OKC. I think Cleveland might just walk over whichever team actually comes out of this fight with Golden State and OKC.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing because traditionally we've seen LeBron teams beat up Kevin Durant teams, right? He's much more physical, but although that's one matchup, I don't know if it'll be the best game, but I really think for primetime TV, as much as everyone wants to see Golden State back, they won 73 games, second MVP, uh, returning to defend your ring, and this time there's no excuses because Cleveland's back. I get it. The storyline writes itself. But on another level, it's a superstar league, right? It's more superstars than teams. So how good would a Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Serge Ibaka? Um, you see where I'm getting at, though, there? Like those guys, it starts becoming that, Tristan Thompson, the Canadian, against Steven Adams, the New Zealander. It starts becoming this weird little story. Like I don't think there's a way for the NBA to lose in the finals. Like even if Toronto miraculously makes this all happen, what? Like that happened and no one would expect that. Um, but okay, so we're back to Toronto. Obviously, it's a tough situation. Cleveland's really hitting on all cylinders. I mean, do you think on a simple level, just to end this off, that Toronto losing in this series is the end of A, you can add them separately, A, DeMar DeRozan in Toronto, and then B, Kyle Lowry?
I
You
I
don't have to say how it happens, just gut feeling.
I don't think this is the end. I think I think DeMar and Lowry have this Russell Westbrook KD type relationship where they know that they need each other to succeed, where I think they'll both stay. You look at so many different factors with their families, their kids, the fact that this is the only team DeMar's ever known, the fact that this is the best performance Kyle's ever had on an an NBA team that includes Houston, Memphis, wherever else he's gone. I think they take all that into consideration. I think they see the development in Jonas and the fact that we have a number 9 draft pick and a future that's as bright as I've ever seen in Raptor history. I think they take all that into account and they stay put. They stay together regardless of this being a sweep, regardless of them winning one game. I think they stick together and to just gut it out and make Raptor history, make their own lines in like the annals of the NBA, and they have the ability to do that in Toronto.
I see what you're saying. I'm unfortunately not going to agree because we don't have to agree. I'm basically seeing it as, and here's my rationale, okay? I won't go into where I think they're going to go or what's going to happen. I'm just saying, I think Masai Ujiri, everyone understands he's great at what he does, right? He's proven it already here by fleecing the Knicks for the number 1 pick you just alluded to. Trade away Rudy Gay, and the team immediately started getting better as soon as he got here. He proved his worth in Denver. Obviously, he was GM of the year as soon as they got rid of him right after that. And then, so you're going forward and forward. When he took this team, they had DeMar, they had Lowry, they had JV. I think what he was doing was assessing the talent level they have, which any good manager would do, right, before you start shipping people off. And then, fortunately or unfortunately, they started winning. I don't think he expected them to start winning. I think he was like, oh, they're starting to do well. Well, this is good for this and this, builds up the reputation of the city, get it? So he's kind of feeding into it. But if you look at who he brought in, no real long-term contracts, no real big investment. The only investment was a guy, Damari Carroll, who, considering how long it's going to take for a guy like Bruno to come in, who I still believe will, you know, Carroll will be in his last year before Bruno's really ready to play. So, and he's a guy that any team would love to trade for him anyway. So, like, I don't think Carroll's a tough guy to get rid of. I think they re-signed Lowry because it was a great deal, and at the time it made sense. It's a great trade asset. I said from day one, as soon as he made the starting lineup for the All-Star game and just minted his 4-year deal, I would have traded him immediately because I think that's where his high value would have been. But I think that Masai Ujiri looks at the talent level on this team and sees a ceiling and sees that that ceiling is not high enough. I know what you mentioned about Lowry and DeRozan having that Westbrook and Durant, but they're not Westbrook and Durant. Those guys are both should be your second best players. Now, I know that's tough to hear sometimes, but I think most teams would agree. Like, it was strange, actually. I was listening to a Raptors broadcast, and actually Jack Armstrong, of all people, put this one out. If you took all the best players from the 4 remaining teams and you put them into a pool and drafted, like for just next year, how high do the Raptors players go? He was like ninth. When you consider, you know, the big three in Golden State probably go up. The big two in OKC, maybe even Serge Ibaka, depending how you look at him. The big three in Cleveland. So like that's at least like at best like seventh. And are you really going to compete with a 30-year-old Kyle Lowry and a 27-year-old DeMar DeRozan, who except for a couple late games, kind of let their teams down? Like I don't know. I just think it's too bad they can't get more for DeMar, but I think that's a consequence of them winning. I think at least DeMar is gone, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Lowry gone next year.
Oh, but that's almost like a rebuild again.
Yep. But
That's-
look at the rest of your team. Jonas, 23. Bruno, 20. They're going to get this pick. They have Ross, 24, I think, signed up, and Powell, 22. I like both those guys. Personally, DeMar goes away. If you have that money for me for a power forward who can score, I'm fine with it. I like Powell. I like Ross. I want them both minutes. Point guard, I like Joseph a whole lot. Some could argue in certain games he outplayed Lowry. Do I think I want him as my starting point guard? Probably not. But would I cry if he was and everyone else was better? No. DeLon Wright, or am I pronouncing it right? Their backup point guard, 6'5" guy. I don't want him to start at all. But if he's my backup point guard, I'm okay with that. Carroll can provide some leadership. Biyombo, I think Biyombo is gone. I'm actually calling, knock on wood, he's a Laker next year. I think he makes a lot of sense next to Julius Randle, but I digress. And I think they just take that pick. They take a whole bunch of free agent money, and they sit there like, can I take all these assets and get something really good? I like the draft this year. I think at number 9, they can really grab a nice project 4. There's a couple names that I really like that I'll go into, in our draft shows. But I think this is the year where Toronto does kind of what Atlanta should have done when they got rid of Joe Johnson, Josh Smith. Just tear down to the point where you're like, I've got to start like really realizing I'm developing. Because I think they're kind of in between spots right now. I don't think they have that ceiling and age for their best players to be much better than they are today. You think I'm out of left field with this one, or do you kind of see where I'm going?
The thing is, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, so it's like, do we really start to go back down again when we've been continually going further?
Okay. I'll ask you this. Every team in the East being healthy next year, are the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals?
With this team, they still get there.
I'll agree to disagree, because I think if Miami had Whiteside and Chris Bosh, I think they would have destroyed Toronto in that series. But I see what you're talking about. It's tough to rebuild, but I think that's what you have to do when it counts. I think this is when you trade Kyle Lowry for high value and you get something back. Kyle Lowry, look, if you go to a lot of contenders, need a point guard, maybe a 3-and-D guy, you can trade away a guy like Kyle Lowry and DeMar Carroll and get a stud player. You match those up with like a number 9 pick or something. Like that's how you sneaky get guys like DeMarcus Cousins off teams that need to really figure themselves out. And I don't think, and I wouldn't put that past Masai. He's one of my favorite GMs of the year, ever. And it's not because of the guys he has. It's where he's chosen to go.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Well, listen, I think we've talked all we can about the 2 playoff teams coming up. So we have a lot of games. We have a game tonight, Saturday, and we have more up and coming. So you'll hear more from us here at hoopslounge.com about everything in between. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Ryan, for being a gracious guest. And I have a very strong feeling we're going to be hearing from you very soon in the future.
Oh, definitely. If the Raptors, they pull off a win or they somehow manage to get swept, I'm still going to have those same opinions. And the same goes for Golden State and OKC. So it's a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to do this real soon.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks, everyone. And remember, keep it in the lounge.